Kowalski, and this is Buy Time Sessions. So Buy Time Sessions comes on every Wednesdays at 7 p.m. to go through or share information concerning in the realms of cybersecurity. Basically, we take boxes, wood to roots boxes, and then go through and then discuss and show and share our methodology in the learning process. So today it is going to be very brief, very short. This is by far the easiest boxes that instructors before me has presented on. So we wouldn't waste so much time today. Now today we're going to take our box from PwnTillDawn, and lots of people know about this. And then I think those who are not familiar with PwnTillDawn, just Google it and then you'll come across this. So it is being hosted by Whistlin's Group. You can find them on LinkedIn, and then shout outs to those guys for producing amazing content. So when you create an account, you have a starter pack just like any of the learning platforms that you're familiar with. Download your VPN pack, and then out here in your dashboard, you can see your targets, and then there are leaderboards, training courses, and all that. So give it a try if this is a new one to you. So today's box, we're going to have a look at a Windows box. It is rated medium here, but so I might find it much more easier than what is being currently rated on this platform. So just in my directory here, the only thing I have is, sorry, excuse me. So just get access to the VPN and then just connect to that. And BTS, okay. So make sure we have my IP here, and then we just see if we can reach the box. So that is my IP, and then the IP of our target. All right, so it seems we have connectivity to our target. So let's begin probing. So as burglars trying to break into a house, we have to assess the building. That is our recon phase. Try to find as much information we can get from our targets, that is our victim. Not to say burglary is accepted, please. No, it is illegal, it is a crime. You'll be caught in prison, so do not break into people's houses. But in this situation, we are trying to find how to get inside a building. We have to assess which doors are open, which type of locks the building is using, and then which one is not completely locked or closed and all that. So in this sphere, we just have to just do port scanning, see what services are running on the target, which endpoints are there, so we can find any of which are vulnerable, and then we can just break into. So this is RATScan. If you're not familiar with RATScan, you can just Google it and then see what it's about. But those of you using Kali, it comes, I think you have to install it by yourself actually. I don't know about Parrots. The guys using Parrots, can you confirm if this is natively installed by default? So
I think we'd have to install it in Parrots.
Oh, okay, interesting. So the syntax there, ratscan, calling up ratscan, you just have to, the T stands for the timeout session. By default, it has 1500 milliseconds to timeout. To probe a port by that time, if it is not responding, it's considered as, like, it will just consider it as it is being closed and move on to the next thing. And out there is the range of the ports that you're trying to scan. So we're scanning every possible port, 1 to 65,535. The A is our target. That is where we are trying to break in. U limit is trying to reduce the resources that are being just allocated to this process. Now, looking at the results from our scan, we have these open ports. Port 22, we are aware, is SSH. Port 80 is HTTP. 1354 RPC client. RPC is like Microsoft remote procedure call, RPC. It is just used in creating distributed client server programs. And it facilitates, it is on which SMB also works on. 139.445 SMB Windows Server block used for file sharing, hosting resources, printers, and then shares. So that will come in very handy. And then you have port TV389 for RDP, remote desktop. And we have this port, 49667, 49668. If you're not aware of what these ports are, you could just Google them and then you have access to them. So 49667, let's see what service 49667, which service run on these, and then yeah, so probably this might give us a fair idea. Nope, nothing is for here. What is the sports? What does it do? Nope, not. All right, nothing useful, but probably we should just tax scheduler. Anyone in the chat, can you help? What are these ports used for? So that we can just move on with that. We'll come on later. So after Rascan has done the ports field, now we know the open ports on the server. What else do we need to know? Nmap, yeah, we can just go ahead and then just enumerate all the services. Now by enumeration, let's just try to make notes as we go along. So what is this going to be? So I'm just using Cherry Tree. Cherry Tree is one of the note-taking applications out there if you use any of the Unix applications, and create a subnode. Today's date, 8th of May 2024. All right, so our target is 10. What is our IP? So this is our target on PwnTillDawn. So if you're just wondering. So first we have our port scan ready. We can just take screenshots of this and then paste it there. So Rascan, open ports. All right, so these are the ports here, and let's take them one by one. So on port 22, we actually have SSH running. So SSH is just remote management to that sysadmins can just remotely manage the services or endpoints. But for this to work, for us to get anything on true SSH, we have to authenticate using a username and a password, which at this time we have no credentials. So we'll just hang on a bit and then put it aside. When we have any credential, we can just use that to authenticate the service. The next one is HTTP. So port 80, we have web server. So we think about web. So definitely there seem to be something running on our target. So we can just go and then visit that web page and see what we have. All right, so this looks like the welcome banner of a Windows IIS, so Internet Information Services. So this is the default banner, which we have nothing here. So we can just take a screenshot for our notes, and then this is what we are seeing here. All right. Now, for any website, it is very important that you try to find as much as information that you can find here. For example, this is Wapalizer. You can get it from all the extension and themes from your browser. You can install Wapalizer as an extension. So if you use, this is Chrome store, you can just get this installed. It basically analyzes what technologies underpins any website that you visit. So here we know that that is an IIS version 10.0, that is a Windows server. And then a couple of CDNs using Google hosted libraries, and then there is some jQuery libraries too. Can we get anything when you look at the page source? So when you view the page source, there is nothing interesting here. There is nothing being given off here. Nothing of interest here. So what we can do is perform a domain and brute forcing. So like we want to enumerate the subdomains. Are there any possible links that is embedded in here? So we can use go buster, there buster, and in this scenario, we're going to use Ferrous Buster. So just rename this to directory enumeration. I hope my screen is quite okay for, and then you guys can see. So Ferrous Buster, we call on this utility. It is going to, the -K option is for ignoring TLS validation. So ignore any certificates that might need. The U is for the directory you're trying to brute force. And then basically this will go ahead and then try to find if we can get any other links that is being hidden or just a subdirectory to this domain. So now we have code 200, that is an OK status for HTTP. 301, yes, we have apparently we have the admin directory. So we can go back to our directory and then just say what we have here, admin, and let's say what we get. All right, so this is something interesting. We can just take a screenshot of what is happening here. Now, when we visit the admin subdomain, can we just refresh it and then try and see the command that was run first? All right, that is good. I was able to just capture that first. So, so the /admin subdomain, we saw this being run, and I forgot to take there's a Ferrous Buster. Let's try and get a good note. That is very, very important. That's too big. And just have to. Just making sure it's just concise and can fit in there. So we have an admin subdomain. And then when we look at the admin page, this is what we saw. Now, this looks like a packet capture. And let's just run it again so that we understand what is happening. So this is AeroDump. AeroDump is a network capturing and network sniffing tool that is used to capture 802.11 frames. And by 802.11, 802.11, that is an IEEE standard for wireless local area networks, wireless. So basically, this looks like someone that the command that was being run is, let's just take it from our notes and then just try to explain what is going on here. So AeroDump is used to capture network frames. So like that. So basically, what is happening is someone is just trying to sniff frames or quote unquote, not really packets from a wireless network that is trying to just crack the password. That is what is happening. So AeroDump has this syntax. You call it up. The ESSID is to filter which wireless network that you're trying to sniff its packets. The C there is for the frequency, where to listen on which port. And then this is on which interface, network interface. So that is WLAN and then 0MON. That is the wireless network interface. And then when we sniff these frames, this traffic, we just save it to a file, a pcap. So that will be a packet capture, a pcap file called I am Groot WLAN. So let's get back to this and then see that after that was run, we saw that there has been a download of the pcap file. So we have to keep this and then try to see what we can do with this particular file. All right, so if you have any questions by far, please don't hesitate. Let me just get to that. So I'm just going to copy I'm just going to copy the pcap file that was downloaded over here, and then the name was saved to a file called I am Groot. And Groot.p .cap, and then we just copy it here. All right. So that is the file. So when you check what kind of file that we have, yes, to confirm that that is a packet capture. And then this is its length and all of that. So packets, this has been captured. We can just view this with any packet capture tool. So we can use Wireshark to just read or access the packet capture. All right, so this is what we have. So this is basically our link local frames from our OSI model class that we know. Now, when you look in here, you see that these are the frames that we captured from a wireless interface. So basically, someone is just trying to just sniff on a wireless network and then crack the password to it. So fortunately, we have that. And when you look at back to our admin panel, this was a WPA handshake. Now, before WPA, there was a technology that is WEP, Wireless Equivalent Protocol. Now, WEP was very vulnerable to brute forcing attack, mainly because it used an IV initialization vector that had a 24-bit key space. That means it was not enough. So a reuse was always possible. Now reusing that and capturing those traffic will allow you to brute force and then be able to get the key from that. Now WPA was the next in line, the next technology that was replacing WEP. And WPA actually introduced TKIP, that is the Temporary Key Integrity Protocol, that extended the key length to 128. But then the issue here, the vulnerability here was the handshake. That was a major issue. Now during handshake, it is a four handshake where your AP and then between the AP and the client, so your mobile device and then the Wi-Fi, a hotspot, whatever you call it, an AP. So before that, then those are the first things where there is a challenge and then a response kind of authentication mechanism that exists. Now, in that handshake, if you are able to just sniff those packets, those transmission, the 128-bit key isn't also enough to actually handle a directory dictionary brute force. And so if you're able to capture that, that is the challenge, and then the result, you will be able to break that communication. So basically, that is all that is going to happen here. And that is what we're going to do to just break our network capture. So Aerodump has done the difficult work. We have our file, a pcap file here. Now, the next thing is to invoke another tool called aircrack. Now, aircrack will be able to take the pickup file and then we give it a word list. So we're going to use RockU, which exists in a word list. RockU is, when you just Google it, it is one of the main dictionary files that we use mainly. So when we run aircrack on this, it should be able to crack that pickup file, and we have a key for the wireless network. So football. So we have a credential here. Before that, we should just take a note and then see what, so that we don't lose any step of what we are doing. So this, we're able to crack the pickup file, and then we have this. Now, this from a WPA protocol, like while Aerodump was able to just sniff this. Now, currently on enterprise levels, you might see WPA2 and then enterprise and then WPA2. I think 2 years, 3 years ago, I think there was a vulnerability found where people were able to just crack WPA2, which we thought was secured using the crack method. I think it was a reinstallation method. I think, yeah. So crack attacks breaking the WPA2. This website should be able to help you read the technical briefs of how it goes around. And then there is a POC demonstration even for you if you are interested in such. Now, the reason why I took this box was actually I saw something in a channel where someone asked about this. Does anyone know how to crack Wi-Fi password? And then Maxama answered, is it for educational purpose? Someone said, yes, sir, but I don't trust this guy. But anyway, use it for educational purpose. That's the reason why I took this box, that it is possible to just do that. So that said, we should get back to our target. Now we have a valid credential here, that is football. Now we have a password, but we don't have any username to just use that against it to authenticate against services that are running on our targets. So that is what we have. But then this is a question I have for you guys. Those who are using iPhones, can you please go to your network and then just look at hotspot, and then what is the name of your phone's Wi-Fi? What is the name that you have, the SSID? I just want to know. I'm just curious. Or even your Bluetooth, how have you named it? Benis, Joe, Nando, Maxam, Fierce. Are you guys here?
Yeah, we are around. Just that me, I use Android. So.
Oh, Android. What's your Wi-Fi, your hotspot name, your Bluetooth name?
My hotspot is the default name that came from the manufacturer, so like the
That came
phone's
from the
name.
manufacturer. Oh, okay. But usually for iOS devices, usually I've just realized that most of them comes like you'll see. I don't know if you have just tried to just scan people's network and then just turn on your Bluetooth in a social environment and you see Abigail's iPhone, Michael's iPhone, and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, people just leave that, and then you might just basically just know the person's name. So that is one way of just approaching, looking at this, how to get a username from the password that we've just cracked from someone's wireless network. All right, so how do we get another name? Now, if this were supposed to be Active Directory, we could have just done Groot to just get usernames. We could just try to just use in packet SPN, get users SPN to just get usernames, valid usernames in a domain. But this is a standalone machine, so we don't have that luxury. So let's go back to our services that we just planned in the beginning and then see the other networks, other other services that we're running, if we can just leverage on that to get any valid
Yeah, hello.
username. Yeah, hello, John.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
So I don't know. I might have missed some parts of the whole POC, but the webinar. But I want to find out. So you just mentioned that it is a standalone, meaning that the target piece is not connected to a domain, right?
Yes, it is not.
Okay. So during the so the capture,
Yeah.
how was the what is the protocol? Like the person was the person using radios authentication or pre-shared? Because if it is just pre-shared, then we're only looking at the key, right?
Yes, yes.
But then if it's radio, then we are looking at the
Yes, exactly. So this is
is
like a
that
pre-shared.
hello?
Yeah, hello, John.
Yes. So I don't know which one we have in question, and then if it's radios, is it doing a local authentication on the radios, or so I don't know if I missed it, if that was said and I missed it,
Oh,
or if you can throw some light on that thing.
yeah. So this machine on the admin subdirectory, the admin had already captured some traffic on the network and then
Okay,
just left
okay,
it on this subdirectory. So we just chanced on it. We just discovered the
sure,
existence of
sure,
this. So we just had a
okay.
pickup file
Oh,
where
okay, and we're analyzing the pickup.
we
Okay,
analyzing the
that's
pickup
fine.
and then we're
Okay,
just trying to get the
sure,
pre-shared
sure.
key from that. So
From
that
the
is the
pickup.
reality.
Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you. Guys.
Okay, thank
Very
you.
good.
All right. So now let's look at the other services. Let's try to see if we can get some valid usernames here. So let's try with RPC. Now RPC, because it is like a technology for creating distributed client server programs, definitely between clients and servers, there will be users who are trying to get access to a server, and then by chance they have to create an account, or there will be like an authentication mechanism. For example, if it was a domain, Kerberos would have requested for the authentication for them to just give them a username and a password, which this service could just have access to. So let's leverage on that and try to see if we can get anything from RPC. All right. So with RPC, there are some applications that you can use to try to connect to RPC. There is RPC client, which comes pre-installed on most of our attack boxes. So there is and then there is you can also run RPC dump. That is a Python script that also enumerates RPC. So let's see how that's works. So RPC client basically with With RPC clients, we specify that we specify a username. We have no valid username, so we're going to do a null session. So that is null, that we don't have any username. And then we specify the target. So this is our target. And then when you run this, there was no access. So it has to be authenticated. We don't have access to run this on our PC. So that is unfortunate. So how about the other way of enumerating RPC? We can use RPC dump. So RPC dump also is a Python script that helps in enumerating RPC. Now, when you run this against our target, that is an in-packet tool too. We see we have some feedback, so we could just run through this. We could have just teed this into Sublime Text and then made the reading quite easier. So I'm just taking it to the top. That is a lot of information. All right, so when you look at the feedback from RPC dump, we're getting some bindings, some user IDs. If anything, there is this provider DHCP, a DAL that works with DHCP, and then that is a DHCP service. And then when we look in here, there are some names. There are event logs from this pipe. From this, I'm guessing might be a user. So we're getting there is a tax DDL that is also this NP. So we could just find the meaning of this. What is this? And then if this should be a username, then probably we have just a valid username that we can go and then perform password spraying with the key that we had. Probably someone might have done a credential reuse, and then we can leverage on that. So let's just see what this means. Okay, so from Microsoft, NC ACN NP is an attribute. It identifies as a pipe protocol for an endpoint. Okay. Let's read much more on that. So it could be also a service name. So service name that is on the service, that is a box that is on our target. We could just try to see if that could also be something that we could use, because when you look at this, if it is a service name, it has been repeated up in here from all the RPC feedback that we got. I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot. And the box name is also Groot. So probably we should just take a cue from that and then just try to build a list. Let's build a username list from this. All right. So now there is a tool, this tool called CWL. Now this tool is used to actually create a username list. For example, it just scrapes web pages and then take words from it to build a username list that you can use. So, for example, if you go to google.com, any website, if you just run this tool on this web page, it's going to build a username list, a name list for us. So Microsoft will be one name, build, register, and everything. So whenever we are finding it difficult to get usernames, names to just try and then spray with, we can just fall back on this tool and then create a word list for ourselves. Alternatively, there are also word lists that comes with our tag box, Kali Linux, and that is the sec2. So let's just locate sec list. Now Daniel Messer's sec list. Sec lists, if I can type. Sec list usernames. There are usernames and a curly box that you can use. A whole lot of names. For example, this is the sec list blob master. When you look at username.test, we can get a lot of names, and these are some of them are default names to services, popular software applications, CMS, and then all that. So in here, these are top username shortlists. They are root, admin. So we could just create a username list and then try to run it against, use our password to just run against and see if we can just spray any of such services that are running on our target. All right, so let's try with CEWL. And this is how we're going to go. So when you call on these two in verbose mode, so it should output all the things that we want to see. We want you to create a word list and then save it in a test file called users.test, and then find any word that you find on our target and then put it in that list. So basically the only thing that it was able to find on this page is IIS. So when we cut that file users.test, we have IIS, it has Windows and then server. So basically that is everything that we get on just visiting our target's main page. So that is what it was able to just scrape off from this page. We could also tell it to just also scrape from this page. So we have this name list. How about running it on the admin subdomain? And then let's see what it's able to just cut from there. So cut users. So basically we've just overwritten our first one. We get user computer folder. So if we're just creating a user name list, we could just get the first one and then append it to what we had first using nano that, and then the other one we had folder user, and what's the other one? And then don't forget our feedback from running RPC. We saw a service name, I am Groot. And we can also split this to maybe Groot in small letters in any spelling. And we can save this as our name list. All right, so we've created a name list, a user list. So, and that is one. How many name lists do we have here? There is users and then there is a user. User.tst. Okay, so this is what we created. We can just remove the users. All right. Now we have a user list, we have a list, and then we have a password. So let's try spraying and see if it is valid. So we're going to try and use netsec. So this is what is actually replacing, and then on the protocol SMB, we're just trying to see if we can just access SMB, find if there are any shares using a user list. So what we have is user here, user.tst, and then the password. The password we cracked from our pickup file was football. So we have that football. So basically we are just trying to authenticate, trying to say if go to use all our entries in our user list and then map them against the password football. And then if it is valid on this host, SMB should be able to just display the shares that it has running on it. So let's just run this and then see the output. All right, so it takes every entry that we had. So we had IIS, Windows, server, and then when it takes IIS, we'll put that in football. Is it a valid credential? When we see this, we know that that is not a valid authentication. So that unless you get this, that is valid, where we had a username, this, and then football. That was when it's authenticated, and then it's actually listed the shares that are on this target. So basically we have a valid username, that is Groot, and then a valid password. So that is what is accepted. So now we can just screen capture this and then put this in our notes that we have a valid credential. So we have a username now, Groot, and then password. That's okay. So we have that. Now the next thing is, how do we authenticate to what are the services running on here? Are we going to run SSH? Are we going to get SSH on that box? Or are we going to try the other services? Which other service was also running on this box? We had port 80, there is no authentication mechanism there. That is not. There is RDP, 3389 RDP. So RDP, we can try and then see if we can authenticate and get access via RDP, because we have a valid username and then a password. So RDP, we have on Linux, we have X3 RDP, there is Remina, and then there is other softwares that you can just use. So XRDP, the /u is for the username. So the username that we have is Groot. So GROT, that is Groot. And for this will be the password. The password, we have football from our pickup capture, which we cracked. And then set ignore is to ignore every TLS SSL certificates that might be required, so we don't get bothered with certificates. And then V, for V, you're just trying to V is actually the target. So what target are we trying to SSH in? That is 10.150.150.135. So that is our target. So we will try to RDP, and if it is valid, we should get a remote session on that host, on that target. So now we've found an open window. We're trying to get inside the room or the building. And if the credential is valid, we should get an RDP session. So it looks like, yes, it is valid. And then we are getting an RDP session. So we can just take this in our notes. Okay, so it is now booting up. So that is a Windows target. So we have a session. Logging in as Groot. Windows is very slow. So we give it a little time, and great. We have our desktop, and now we have an active session on the box. So there's our first stuff. So we have like a foothold inside the network now. So we're on the box inside the network. So that is one half of it. So we have this, we take this, put it in our notes. And in our reports, we have to just actually write a lot about this. We just put them in good format. We're just taking screenshots, and then the most important thing after this, we just write very good notes. I think the size is okay, so I'll just allow this. Okay, so we have RDP here. So what next? Now usually in CTFs here, you have your flag. So there is what you came for, that is what you're interested in. You have your first flag, you can submit it as yes, as evidence of getting access onto the box. Now the next thing is to try and then find, the next thing is to start again with enumeration. So can we run PowerShell as an admin? let's see, run as an administrator. Okay. All right, good. So we have PowerShell, we have a shell on the box. Now the next thing is let's look around. We have to enumerate. You have to just create awareness. What do I have here? And there is a list. It seems there is a VoIP troubleshooting note, troubleshooting note. 2 users are experiencing interruptions during a call. And this is what the sysadmin or Groot, the user, has to do. I have to capture the traffic on a call switch, check and all that. So you can just I have checked with Wireshark for any problems, but nothing. I confirm there is a VoIP traffic in my pickup. Checking Kane to listen to VoIP communication. Okay, so this could be one of those things, rabbit holes. Those, if we have been playing CTS for long, you know, some things are just there to just throw you off. So there's the VoIP. If truly we play this, are we going to hear communication voices by people on this domain or box have a conversation, a real conversation? Could we play a voice communication where they divulge sensitive information that we could use in our work, in further exploiting or getting higher privileges? Maybe or maybe not. Now, we have to create situational awareness. Where are we, and then what do we have? Now, what privileges do we have? That is the most important thing. So let's try. This is very small. I think it's small. I'm just trying to get it a little wider so we can all see. Font 16. Okay, so I guess this is good, right? I hope everybody can see. Guys, are you with me?
Yeah, we are here.
Okay, awesome. Any questions so far for me? All right, so who am I? Yes, we are Groot, and what is this host name? Like, what is the name of this box? The box is network interfaces. Can you just IP config and then see, is this connected to any different service, any different box? Now, when you look at this Ethernet connection, that is the IP that we connected to. Yes, that is Ethernet port, the first Ethernet connection network interface, and there is no other network interface. So this is standalone. We're here. So this can be a good packet capture that's to give further proof that we have a shell on the box for our nodes. Okay, so what you are interested in is actually gaining much more privilege. Now we are low user. Let's see what privileges that we have. The Windows box is very slow, and then we got a disconnect. So we try connecting back again and then see. The unfortunate things about this is sometimes with the slightest network issue, it gets a disconnect. And we try connecting back and see if we have access. But for the meantime, if there are any questions, I'll be glad to fail to connect. Did my let's see. Is the host still alive? So we have our RDP session dropping off. I'm just trying to see, did my VPN? It's trying to restart. So I'm just quit it and then just even run it again. I'm sorry for the break. This will be a good time for questions anyway. All right, so looks like we've got the connection back. All right, so our pings are coming through. That means the host is up. then we can just try and then reconnect back to just get our RDP session. Okay, great. So here we go. So we have this. So let's check which privileges that our user currently have. And looking at the privileges, you know that is nothing that we can do with those privileges. We need to up our game and then get a higher privilege. So how do we go about this? Simply, there are lots of things that we can just check. Are there any vulnerable applications that we could run? For example, when we just had access here on the desktop, we saw that there is PWTI here. This is a software that is used to actually connect remotely to other endpoints or devices, regardless of protocol, such as like SSH, FTP, and all that. Now, with this, we could just leverage hack tricks and then just get enough information. So, local privilege escalation, how do we up our game here, increase our privileges here? There are a lot of things that we can look at. So, if it was PWTI, if any of these applications that are in use on the target vulnerable to certain things, can we, what kind of users are there? Are we able to browse to other users, home directories, and all that? So just to make this session quite brief, we can simply just transport WinPs, the Windows Privilege Escalation Awesome Suite. WinPs can just go on and then just find a lot of things that really might take time for that to happen. So we're going to just use WinPs to just try and then up our game. So I'm just going to host a small Python server here. Let me just go into staging, and then where I have bad stuff waiting here, we can save this on a Python script so that we can just transfer WinPs. Now, WinPs comes in various architectures, that is 64, 80, and then 86, 32-bit. So we must also know our system information. So on this, what kind of architecture are we on, so that we know which system info, which architecture we're dealing with. So that is also very important for our enumeration process. Now, looking at this Windows box, yeah, we know it's Windows 10, and then that is a lot of information here. Yeah, Windows 10, and then looking at it, that is the build version. That is a standalone server, and we can just see what's work. So we have the install time. So basically, a lot of information about our hosts. And that is the architecture. It is just a 64-bit architecture. We have lost our RDP session again. This is highly unstable. So we're just going to transfer our scripts on there to help with enumeration, find our path to escalate our privileges. We become root, or the administrator, we will say, on the Windows box, and then try to own the system. PwnTillDawn is very bad this evening. I don't know what is happening over there. Just try and then ping this box again. When it comes up, we will just see. So far, any questions? Any questions for me, guys?
Well, I'm good. I think I'm good.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I'm just switching to Ethernet wired network, so let's hope that's all right. So we should be back. Get our RDP session going, transfer win piece on there. And then we can try and see our privilege escalation vector. Okay, so we have that. Um, okay. All right, so we're just going to transfer that onto our box, and then we'll just use this set utility to just get something. So we're not getting net cuts, we're trying to get win piece. So we are hosting a small server here. We need this file. We need to just transfer this particular file from our attack box onto our target. So this utility fetch from our IP. Our IP is 110.66.66.170. Gets this file from us and then save it as same name. So when you look down here, you see that we have been able to transfer. There is a get, and using HTTP, a get is just a fetch. So we just transferred that particular file. The request was made by our target, that is the IP, and then it just downloaded this onto it. So basically, we can see that we've downloaded this binary win piece onto the application. Now, because it is a binary, we can execute it. We have write permissions here. So shout out to Carlos. Carlos is actually the writer of this script, Awesome Suite. So this script basically is going to enumerate our target system, find possible privilege escalation vectors for us, make our job very easier, and then how to extend our privileges, make us a super user, or increase our privileges probably from what we have now, and then be able to pawn or on this box. Maxim, I haven't heard from you. What's up? All right, so it looks like our script has finished running, and then let's go through the outputs and see if we can find possible ways to escalate our privileges. Now, from the very top, we see that anything that has been colored with a yellow or a red tells you that there is something there that you might want to have a look at it. Now, going through this, I've been through this already. There is one important thing that stood out. Just like on Linux, we might want to look at cron jobs or scheduled jobs. Up in here in Windows, there are scheduled jobs, and it seems there is an RSA key file somewhere that we could use. Now, when you look at this searching for executable files, we see this. There is an issue here. Anything written in red means it is a possible, a highly possible, 95% a privilege escalation vector. Looking at this file, there is a file in here where every user have access to. Now, it will be interesting to know that if that file belongs to an administrator, then that means if we have full access to this file, which looks like a PowerShell script, then we can modify it and then get a reverse shell to our box. That is basically that. So that is one thing we have to take note of. And looking at this, it is stored in a directory called PDT under root C and then my script. So we can just navigate there, go to the root drive. So in here, we can see that these are the folders in here. So the INET pub is where our IS server was running at. And then there's the folder, the directory that we saw was hosting a particular script that we might have full access to. So PTD, and when we list here, so we have this file there, my script.psi. That's a PowerShell script. And then we can check the permissions. So iCalculus, that is how you check on permissions on. So access control list on this particular file, my script. And then we see that every built-in user, including us, have full access to this particular files. That means we can modify, we can edit, and what have you. So this makes it easier. So we know there is a file in here where we're going to just have to replace or get a reverse shell from, and that will be it. Now, when it comes to Windows, just like in Linux, I like to look at cron jobs or scheduled task. Now, I bet that same PowerShell script there might be that task that is in there. So let's just say under Windows. So it has the same name. So basically under the same directory there, where we saw that is actually a scheduled task. And it's saying that it is going to be triggered after every 5 minutes. So that means, yes, this is our privilege escalation. It will start a program, it will execute PowerShell, and then run this script. So that is good. We know that it is owned by the administrator of this box. So basically, if this script is running, it's going to run with admin privileges. So that is good. We could just save this for our notes. For time's sake, we just move on so that we just finish quickly. But we just keep this in our notes. Very important. So this, and then that. Now, when this if this is the case, can we just look at what is the content of this my script? My script. So the admin left a comment here. I haven't had time to work on my script to check every 5 minutes the status of the server, even though it is running. So basically this is running, but then he hasn't settled anything to just do with it. So we can just be good Samaritans and then give the admin something to do with the script. So let's get a reverse shell for PowerShell, and then we can be good. So there is this Nishan. Nishan has a PowerShell reverse script on GitHub. You can look at that. There is an invoke PowerShell script that I am a fan of. Invoke PowerShell TCP. Okay, and that. There's a particular one. Let me just try find it, and then we can just use that. Just create a reverse shell. I'll just go to ref shells, and then you can basically just get. Okay, this should be one of the scripts. That's power CCP. Okay, let's look here. That's too much. That is a one-liner. Okay, so the TCP one-liner invoke. This is good. You can just work with it. All right. So what you're going to do is basically in here we could just overwrite the script by creating a script, the same script on our box, and then just transferring it up in here. All right, so I think I just created my script somewhere. If not, I'm just going to create my script in here. My scripts.ps1, and then we put in here, we just have to uncomment this and then set our IP and our ports, our listening ports. So this is our IP copied, and then let's receive this on 6666 quad 6. We save this and then exit from here. So the next thing is to just transfer this script to override what the sysadmin just has, and then we just set up a listener and then get the reverse shell. RL wrap and then quad 6. Okay, great. So now we just have to transfer our new script. All right. So we have staging here. We just have to just transfer this up onto our client. Now up in here, we used to transfer the win piece. Now we're just getting my script.ps1 onto the box, and then basically just have the name my script. All right, so when we just save this here, it is going to override what we had earlier on. So yes, we have my script running here, and then let's see the content. That it is actually the reverse shell. That's okay. Excellent. So we have replaced the script that the sysadmin has settled. That is a settled job. So with this, we hope to just receive our callback in any minute from now here. Then when we get the callback, we should have the privileges that was actually the admin privileges that is running with the script. So we hope to get a callback soon, and if everything is just good, or we did everything right, we should get a callback because the script is scheduled to run every 5 minutes. I'm not sure realistically it's 5 minutes, but it should be 1 minute, 2 minutes from now. So we sit back and then wait for the callback. At this moment, if you have any questions, we can just address them, share some information. Maxim, if you were approaching this box, Bennett, if you are approaching this box, which other scenario have you considered to just elevate your privileges? Hello, guys.
Hello.
Yeah.
For me, I don't have much questions because, as I said, Windows is kind of new for me, so I'm just
Oh,
following and then trying to understand what you are doing.
okay.
At least most of the
Okay.
things are like what we do in Linux, just that we have different commands to write.
Yes, basically that is it. So you just, as time goes on, you just familiarize yourself with Windows, and then you'll see that there is slight similarities, but the idea is basically the same. There's some differences, minor nuances in the commands and the syntax, but then when you understand it, it's kind of, it will just stick to you. So hang in there. It is no problem. Gradually you get it. It's just practice, and then ask questions from the big boys. They will answer you.
All right, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we're still waiting for a call back, and we're not getting a call back. Are we still here? Yes. And is our script running? Yes. It has the correct a call back. Is in, we have our IP in here listening on this port. So we're expecting that in 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is a long time. In 5 minutes to run. What if we just trigger the script to, we can just try to execute it and then see if what happens. Do we get yes? So sometimes you don't just have to wait for a shadow task. If you can execute it just like we have, because we have full privileges on this, you see that there is a connection, a callback here. So we might come to our attack box and then see that yes, we have a reverse shell here, and we expect that it runs with the administrator's privileges. So let's see, who am I? And then we are Groot. That is weird. We expected that they should have just run with an admin privileges. Okay, so who am I? Priv. Yes, we are Roots. We are still Groot, and then I hope you know why. Just because we executed the script as the Groot user. So what you have to do is actually wait for the shadow task to be executed, and then we might catch the callback because it is a scheduled task from the administrator. So that is a little learning curve. So when you execute the script, you execute as the user with the permissions of the user. Because the administrator has scheduled a job in here, for every 5 minutes, the script should execute in every 5 minutes. So we just have to wait and then get the callback, which will be running with the administrator's privileges. Then we have the highest privilege on the box. Then that will be over for the administrator. So we sit and then wait patiently. Patience is the name of the game. Patience. We just wait for this to be triggered. And that is a scheduled job. All right, so we wait.
A question.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, you see, in Linux where you can actually check if it's actually running. Like, can you check the same thing in Windows?
Yeah, Windows, you can just check processes that are running. So Windows has this utility that you can just look at processes that are running. So let's do that and then see what's there. So Linux, how do you check for processes that are running in Linux?
I think with some PS hyphen every other stuff. I think you check.
Yeah. That is true. That is true. That is true. So in Windows basically, you know how graphical it is. Windows Task Manager basically can also just let's say this, and then these are processes that are running. So it's been graphical in nature. Yes, Task Manager can just show you processes that are running at this very moment. There is a management console just because we launched it. So that will be that. So how about PowerShell? Using PowerShell to just check processes that are running. So in here we should have, there is, PowerShell, and then it's just verb, and then get this, do that, get process. This command should list the processes that are also running currently on the box. So that is Windows on PowerShell, how to just get running processes. Man, our callback is taking a whole lot of time. All right, you just have to just double check and see what is happening here. Oh, so finally,
Yeah, I think it took
it's,
exactly 5 minutes.
yeah, it's actually 5 minutes. So that is like, we have to be patient. So now when you check our privileges here, we see that now we are running as NT authority. So basically we have full access, full control over on this box as well. So what you have to do, so if you're interested, you go to the users. We didn't even see how many users there are. So we can, that is the admin. So basically our flag should be, and that means admin's desktop. And then that is our flag. So that should be the root flag as proof that yes, we've solved this box. We have total complete ownership of this box. So guys, so that is Groot on PwnTillDawn. We first started with enumerating services where we saw that there is SSH, there is HTTP, there is RPC, and then SMB on the box. The next thing that we did was to actually do a directory enumeration, subdomain enumeration, and then we found that there is a directory admin. Visiting the admin panel, we saw that there was a packet capture where we analyzed it and then saw that that was a WP capture. So we downloaded the pcap file, we analyzed it, and then we used aircrack to just get the key from that, and that was what we had as football. The next thing that we did was basically try to find a valid username on the box. So we built our own username list using this to CEWL. And then after building that username, we used netexec on SMB to try to authenticate using a user list and then our password that we found. We saw that we had a valid username, Groot, and then we used Groot and then football as RDP connection. So we had a foothold on the box. Now we looked here, we checked our permissions, and then we had nothing. We transferred win piece on the box. It was able to just discover a local privilege escalation vector, which was a script that was owned by the administrator, which is scheduled to run. So basically on Linux, that is like a cron job. So this is a scheduled task on Windows, which was my script. We checked the permissions on this script, and then we had full access. We had full access on this script. So we just had to just modify the script and then put a reverse shell script in there, PowerShell script. So we just had to wait for 5 minutes that was the schedule time where it will run with the administrative privileges. And there we waited, and then we caught our callback running with the privileges of NT authority or the system. So that is our root flag, and that will be it for Groot. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been good. Most people, I think, couldn't join us, unfortunately, but this will be uploaded on By Time Sessions on YouTube. I look forward. Probably next week, I might have to bribe Benes to just put me back on. I hope we have much more audience. And then we'll look at a box, probably Active Directory related. And then we have fun. So thank you, Andor, Jeffrey. Shout outs to you for staying. You're great. Asriel, I see you. Benes, thanks, guys. And then do have a wonderful evening if there is no questions. All right, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.
What?
For having us this evening. Finally, I can talk a little bit. It's a bit noisy again, but thank you for making this session a wonderful one. And we've learned a lot from your approaches. And that's good to know. But again, we would love to have you in other sessions too. So don't worry.
Yeah, sure.
Just look up to that. We'll bring you on more sessions.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Ask Maxam, sorry. Kowalski about this machine. Please feel free. Talk, ask a question, something you understand. Anything you really want to know about this. But and probably if you want to know something extracurricular, probably outside the machine, you want to know about him, that's fine. You can meet him up and ask. So please, any question, anything for us? And is it Israel? Yeah, if I pronounce the name wrongly. And connectivity, yep, if I pronounce it right. Anything for us?
Come on, guys.
I
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
enjoyed the Windows session. I've not done Windows before, but then it was nice. Today's session was nice with Windows. Yeah. Maybe I'll have to try doing Windows too.
Okay, yeah. You should do that.
Nice.
Yeah, that is laudable. Just approach it. It's not that scary. It will be fine. You'll be fine. And then we are all around to answer questions that you might have. So just do it, guy. Just do it.
Okay, then that will be all for this evening. We hope to see you in our next By Time session.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Everybody have a good evening. If you are going to continue the night, that's fine. Good night, people who are going to sleep too.
All right.
See you.
I'll see you.
Oh, okay. Some said some parts. Okay.